Do you ever wonder why some people seem destined for something beyond this world? Some call it fate, others call it a curse. But what if I told you that a century-old agreement is about to expire, and those who seek its power are unknowingly stepping into something beyond imagination? This story takes place deep in the mountains, in a forgotten mining town, and it all began with a hunter named Song Fu-Gui. Song Fu-Gui was a skilled hunter from Zhaoyang, just like his ancestors. One day, while hunting, he spotted a wild rabbit and took the shot. The rabbit collapsed, tumbling beneath a large tree. But as he approached to retrieve it, something felt off. A strange noise echoed from the branches above. It wasn't the sound of the wind or a bird. It was something watching. Suddenly, he saw it, a small fox, clutching the rabbit in its mouth. But it wasn't scared of him. It didn't run. Instead, it stared deep, piercing eyes filled with something almost human. Most hunters would have walked away. But Song Fu-Gui, he made a mistake. He reached out, patted the fox's head, and took a few of the smaller ones home, thinking nothing of it. That night, his mother left the house suddenly. She didn't return. No one knew where she had gone. Then, the forest went silent. A leopard emerged, its golden eyes locked onto Song Fu-Gui. He grinned. This would be enough food for 10 days. But before he could take aim, the earth beneath him trembled. The air grew thick, suffocating. From the darkness, a massive black bear charged forward with unnatural speed. Song Fu-Gui barely had time to react. The force of the impact sent him flying. Everything faded to black. And then he woke up, but he wasn't in the forest anymore. He found himself in a place unlike anything he had ever seen. Everything was gray. The air was still. And standing just a few steps away, a woman. She was beautiful, almost too beautiful. Her long, flowing dress seemed to flicker between time itself. But her eyes, they weren't human. They had a faint, eerie glow. She didn't speak. She simply watched him. And then she began to walk toward him. Song Fu-Gui's body stiffened. He couldn't move. He couldn't breathe. Meanwhile, back home, his wife, Kai Shihua, waited for his return. But when she finally heard footsteps outside and ran to greet him, she froze in terror. It was Song Fu-Gui, or at least it looked like him, but something was terribly wrong. His eyes were empty, glowing a pale white. His breath was shallow. He didn't smell like himself. There was no scent of life, no warmth. Panicked, Kai Shihua grabbed his shoulders, trying to shake him awake. But instead, his knees buckled and he collapsed. And then the foxes came, a massive one, leading a group of smaller ones, standing just beyond the doorway. The largest fox turned to look at her, its glowing eyes filled with something ancient, something terrifying. Kai Shihua didn't care how beautiful it was. The truth? Song Fu-Gui was never the same after that night. He had entered the realm of spirits, where time bends and fate is rewritten. He had become part of something much greater, something beyond human understanding. And from that day forward, he was no longer just a hunter. What did he see? What did he bring back with him? Some say he became something more than human. Others whisper that he struck a deal with the fox spirits. All we know is that from that day on, he was never truly alone. Be careful where you wander. Some paths are not meant for living.